Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another live stream. Sunday evening. Oh my goodness. This is really not good, this oil situation. Oil is at 100 and almost $10. I saw it was at 110. It's at 107 now. Crude oil futures, not good. This is going to permeate through the entire economy. It's up 56% the past month. Trump said, yeah, we expected it. Yeah, we'll see how long this lasts. I guess it just depends how long the war goes on. I mean, even look at the past 5 years. It's starting to spike up higher than it was in 2023. They said it's the highest point since 2022. We had such good cooperation with the energy prices, too. It was really helping the economy. Yeah, I see Mr. Creeper came back. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Now I got two mods that are live. He thought he was drilling. It's a global market. It doesn't matter how much oil we own. I mean, unless we own literally all the oil and it stays out of the Middle East, which is impossible because of how plentiful it is there. The price of it's going to go up no matter. We can own all of the oil in the Western Hemisphere. It won't matter because it's a global market. During a global conflict, double coverage. Yeah, we got two mods now. The chat is safe. We don't even have any liberals that come in anymore, but the chat is covered. Trump saying high oil price is worth it since Israel is safe. Yeah, I mean, he said it's going to go back down. It's temporary. They expected it. But Iran has been hitting all the oil refineries, apparently, in Saudi Arabia, some of the other Gulf states, to do exactly this. You want to pressure them domestically, and this is the way to do it the most realistic. But yeah, I mean, a Middle East war, of course, oil is going to spike. It's tragic because we had such great cooperation with lower oil prices for so long, for over a year, and that helps the economy. It's a silent thing, but it helps the economy. Gives people more spending money. Now this will be another narrative for them to have with the economy going into the midterms. You could say, well, it'll just spike, just like what happened, but this only went to like $80 or $75 back in June of last year when there was the nuclear sites that got hit. Yeah, Iran is barely launching anything. I mean, how about this? Like these people. Who's the Chinese guy who tries to come out as like a CCP plant? He comes out and says, "Well, Iran is gonna win." He's a retard. How does Iran win? The only way Iran wins is if the U.S. stays for 20 years. That's how Iran wins. Like, it doesn't make sense. Iran is basically run out of their drones. They say they mass produce drones for like $20,000. Meanwhile, Israel can shoot them down for like nothing. I mean, it's all this fake information where they say Iran can produce all these drones. It's all crap. It's all fog of war crap. They try and like manipulate people into thinking Iran can win. Yeah, Iran's not winning anything. The only way they win is, I guess, by bombing all the oil refineries, and then maybe the price of crude oil skyrockets and Trump says it's not worth it. Militarily, they're not winning anything. It's just not possible. They don't have the weaponry. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people angry about this. I get it. It's really, that's why I want to end quickly. That's why I said in my tweet, we got to see what happens and hopefully it ends. But I just don't know how long it's going to last for, because there's got to be pressure domestically now with this economic situation and the oil. You don't think Trump cares too much about the midterms at this point? 3 years, in 3 years, he'll either be a genius or a fool. Well, that's a big problem. I mean, the midterms, if they lose, the House, they're going to bog down all of. He's just going to have to go through executive orders, I guess, to pass it, to try and get anything passed. They're going to bog down everything, but then they're going to have to codify the executive orders anyway through Congress. Everything is going to be, all the legislation is going to be bogged down. If that's what ends up happening, I don't know. I mean, obviously now there's going to be a huge narrative for the liberals to do well in the midterms because of this war, depending on how long it lasts. Again, if it only lasts a month or two, there's really not a big argument, I don't think, honestly. If oil goes back down, it doesn't really matter much, but it just depends how long it lasts. That's the fundamental thing we got to focus on is how long are they in the Middle East for? Trump has outlined, he says, well, we want unconditional surrender. Iran says we're not doing it. They're going to keep bombing them at least until the end of March, unless something else happens. Trump has till October. Well, he has Congress until October, until actually early November. Early November. Do you think this Iran deal will doom GOP for 2028? Well, there's no deal. There is no Iran deal. It's a war now. If we made a deal with Iran, then this would have been avoided. But maybe there will end up being an Iran deal. There probably will be once Iran gets bombed to death. He ran on low energy. Well, you run on a lot of stuff. I mean, and that's the sad thing is we had great cooperation, and you didn't really want to say anything because it just makes the administration look better. When the reality is, well, this actually is his doing, but there could be another situation that broke out in the Middle East without the United States, and oil would fluctuate heavily. So there is some luck involved in like global oil prices. But obviously, this isn't even this is their own doing, and they said, well, long term this will be for the best. But obviously, there's so many short term impacts. People are going to be very angry about it. But if it's only like a 2-week temporary thing, there's only so mad they can get. Like last year with the bombing of the nuclear sites, I mean, yeah, it definitely helps Israel, but they couldn't really be that outraged over it because it happened so quickly. It was like this fake outrage, like, oh, the U.S. had a war with Iran. Okay, there's no way you could even call it that. You know, I admitted, yeah, this is a war. It's bad. They shouldn't do it, probably. But if it's over soon, I mean, that'd be for the best for them in terms of the micro picture. Macro, you know, I just think anytime you have a foreign entanglement in the Middle East, especially that lasts a period that people don't know. I mean, nobody knows how long it's going to last. So everyone's speculating based on Afghanistan and Iraq. It's going to be a longer situation. I mean, obviously, they're going to avoid that, we would hope. But the other problem is, even if it is a short-term situation, you're going to deal with other cascading effects domestically. And it's the economy. And it's oil. Trump is looking at drafting. Are you concerned? Wouldn't that just be the most ironic thing? Trump just drafts me, and I have to go out and try and fight for Israel. I'd have to go out and try, and maybe it would help me build character. Maybe it would be good for me. I don't know. It might be good for me. Now, I wouldn't want to go out there, honestly. I'd try and get an exemption. I'd be a draft dodger. No, I don't think he's not gonna draft anyone. I know what Levitt said, and I don't think so. Yeah, I thought I was too old too. They said no. I thought it was 18 through 25, so I think I'm too old anyways. I'm a news correspondent. I'm a war correspondent. I'm gonna go out there and be a war correspondent like JD Vance. Maybe I'll get military service for it. It'll help me. I could win the governor of Ohio. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. It was 18 through 25. Oh, it's 18 through 32. Yeah, well, that's a problem for me then. I thought it was 18 through 25. People said no. Somebody look it up. Yeah, maybe there is an exception for a YouTuber, or maybe they want me to go out and cover it or something. I don't know. Maybe I can go from report in Iran. I'd have to wear one of those hard hats like they do, the war correspondents, the journalists. Thoughts on this narrative that the U.S. underestimated Iran? Well, they've completely destroyed Iran. Is their capacities are destroyed. I mean, Iran can't launch anything. They've destroyed everything. Iran is not functional at this point. They say it because it's like this ooh, what a twist. Iran. Now Iran is overall in terms of Middle Eastern country, they are very strong. But relative to the US and Israel and what they've destroyed, it's significant. They've just taken out all their drones. Iran is launching 1/10 of what they were on the first day. They've run out of ballistic missiles. I mean, they run out of stuff. So they want to fearmonger. And listen, they're trying to hit refineries. They're not even aiming at this point at like U.S. installations or anything like that. They're trying to really go for the oil and force Trump's hand. And obviously they had to war game this out and they knew this is what Iran was going to do. But then they've got this guy. Dude, how about these people? They're like these independent bots. They say, that guy's Chinese. He must be smart. And he said that Iran's going to win because he's Chinese, so he's smart. That's what these people were saying in the comments. You see the video like breaking points. It's all these like fake people that say they're in the middle. And in the comments, they're literally like, well, he looks Chinese, so he's smart, and he said Iran would win. And it's got like 5 million views, the video. Have you guys seen that? It's like, dude, it's like he's a Chinese professor, and he teaches like in a freaking crack house elementary school, so he must be smart, so he knows what he's talking about. He says Iran's gonna win. And then he makes up all this sham shit and does it. It's just all crap. Yeah, they need a not nation build, that's for sure. You'd say 6 months, that's going to be tough to swing. It'll be a tough one. If it's 6 months, what is that? $300 billion spent? I mean, maybe they can make it up in oil or something. I don't know. The professor, you think, is an agent for China? Yeah, and then it's just a bunch of people that are like, well, he must be smart because he's Chinese. I mean, that's seriously what they also. I think that's honestly what happened. So that's why people believe him. But I didn't even listen to it. I just saw the views and just all this fake geopolitical stuff. Listen, I knew this was going to be a shit show. And a lot of the MAGA people are starting to like break up and fester and stuff because trying to defend a Middle Eastern war in 2026, that's a tough one. That's a tough one you're throwing us at this point. You're really hitting us with something. We're trying to defend this shit. You're really testing us. You're really, really putting us in a bad spot. You're really putting us in a bad spot now. We have to defend this. Listen, the hope is that maybe it's over in a month or two or something. I don't know. If it takes 6 months, I think that's a problem because it's going to be a lot of money and it's going to have a significant economic impact. But it doesn't even have to be any kind of. It's like these people cry about inflation. Have you guys seen the numbers on Trump with the inflation? He's got like a -20 approval on inflation. The inflation has been 2.8%. What do you want from us? What do you want? Because people don't care. They don't actually care. They just say, well, I hate my life, so inflation's bad, Trump's bad. See, that's the thing. Now they're just going to say, well, you know what? The reason that things are expensive is because the war, and that's it. So blame the war on everything. They just need something to blame. They need something to blame. Well, now you don't really want to buy oil futures. I feel like you should have bought it when Barron Trump bought it with the insider trading a week ago. Dude, Barron Trump, really? That had to have been fake. They said Barron Trump was buying a bunch of oil a week ago or 2 weeks ago, something. Conflict longer, 14 days is going to be really bad for the right. Well, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be longer than 14 days, right? I mean, what they've said is it's going to be the end of March, unless they have a change of heart because maybe the oil is going. I mean, they had to expect this, though. Let's see if this lady reads this. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. Nope. No better way to start the week than a Sunday evening with me. I appreciate that. That's a nice donation. It's a very nice donation. How's Clyde? He's good. He sleeps like 18 hours a day because he's 17 years old. Well, obviously, people are gonna whine, dude. People are gonna. They want number one. People want to bitch about anything. Number two, a Middle Eastern war in 2026 after what we had in the early 2000s. Of course, people are gonna scream the first few days, and now it's starting to permeate in oil prices, and so that's gonna affect things, and it's just gonna draw more narratives out. I didn't think it would go this high this quickly, honestly, but I mean, I guess if it is a war, this is kind of what happens, and they're gonna bomb all the refineries. Goyim. Oh god, not the Goyim. Dude, it's just like coping Goyim is basically all I get called now. It's like Jews don't even use Goyim. It's like anti-Israel people just call people that just Goyim. It always happens. But I just get called Goyim. I coping Goyim. You didn't fuel your car. It's already there. The prices are already going back. Are already going up. It's like 350. It was like 299. Now it's 350. It's gonna be probably 79 at a certain point. It'll be probably four. If it gets to over four, then I don't even know if it can get over four in my area. If it gets over four, dude, this is not good. This is a bad situation in the micro picture. I mean, there's no other way to argue it. I don't know what to say. Just maybe it'll be over quickly, and then it'll go back down. We can say people overreacted. You're all for blowing Islam and the IRGC off the map. If we don't now, our kids' generation will have to deal with them tenfold. And that is a noble argument. It really is. I don't know how true that intel is, but there is, the thought that, well, they were significantly developing their ballistic capacity to the point of almost immunity to where if we did, if they became a problem in the future, they could be untouchable. But I don't know how true that is. I mean, they need a justification for this, obviously. So they're going to say, well, they were developing ballistics that would make them untouchable and they could develop a nuclear bomb. There's nothing we could do. But again, you have to wonder, is that just their justification because Israel wants to be the number one big boy in the Middle East and they want Iran off, and so they need a justification for it. And so they say, well, Iran was developing all these ballistic missiles to make themselves immune, and we wouldn't be able to strike them in the future because they would have too much capacity. So you just wonder if that's really true or not. I mean, to me, that's kind of the sticking point, whether or not they were really developing their ballistic missile program heavily. I mean, they still have enriched uranium. Just because you bomb nuclear sites doesn't mean the enriched uranium is gone. However, they physically need conversion sites to actually get a nuclear bomb, and I think the conversion sites were practically all destroyed, so they'd have to rebuild all the conversion sites. Remember the Biden sticker saying I did that? Yeah, well now it's going to be a bunch of Trump stickers. And that was really, I mean, there was definitely some bad moves made by their administration for inflation, but that had to do with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now you could say, well, Trump could have prevented that from even happening, but that was a different geopolitical event where the U.S. were not the aggressors. This crude oil situation, this spike, is because of aggression by the U.S. The other thing that I was thinking, and it's like, there's just no way, and I don't even know if they're really saying this. I haven't really seen any influencers saying this, but they were like, Trump was like, well, we had to strike them because we got intel that Iran was going to strike us first. Bro, there is no way that's true. Iran is going to strike the U.S. and Israel first. That would just give the U.S. and Israel 10 times the amount of justification to blow them up. Then the public would be on the U.S. and Israel side, and they would see Iran as the aggressor. They agreed to 0% enrichment. They were not willing to discuss missiles. Well, that's what Trump wanted. He wanted 0% enrichment. They originally had 3% under the Biden deal, I think. Thoughts on daylight savings that happened today? Yeah, I am generally a fan of the daylight savings. I like when it's light out later. I think we should just really leave it on daylight savings. I think it's bad for people when it gets dark at 5 o'clock. It's bad for body clocks. So if we could just leave it on this time now, I think that would be the best situation for everyone. We don't want to, move the clocks back or whatever it is in November, because we don't want it to be dark at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That really creates depression, and it's just not a good situation in the winter. If anything, I'd like it to be light at 7 o'clock in the winter. That would be pretty cool, but that's not going to happen. But at least let it be lighter in the winter. Biden had over $120. That was so. I mean, let's be honest. That was the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Like, that's obviously a huge event that's going to spike the oil. But no, I hear you. I'm hoping this is just a temporary spike. I mean, we saw a temporary spike here and it kind of mellowed out, but that was a $75, $76. It's a bit higher than that now. But really, since Trump entered, I mean, Trump entered right here. So we've had a very nice energy situation. The oil has been very low, and obviously it's been a tough last few days because of the war. I mean, I thought it would go up, but what do I really know? I just thought it would go up to like $90 or something. I guess not. I mean, because they're striking all the refineries, and so it's going to spike the price even more because Iran knows this is the way to pressure the U.S. But Trump is not blinking. He said, yeah, we knew it would spike it temporarily. That's part of their war strategy. They're getting crushed. They're desperate. Of course they're going to do this. They're wasting all their missiles on trying to force the price of oil to go up. They have no navy yet, or they have no naval fleet left. Trump has reported they've destroyed all their naval fleet. I mean, there's nothing left. There's no Iranian ships. That's what Trump said. He said, there's no Iranian ships left. They've been destroyed. 40 of their commanders have been killed. China has only one time zone. Imagine the whole US and EST. I know. Yeah, I mean, definitely in terms of a it's easier to be in one time zone for your entire country, but it's not practical. It's not optimized. So for China, it's pretty ridiculous because you're going to have crazy situations on the western side and the eastern side in terms of when the sun rises and sets, because if you're going to be in one time zone, it's really not optimized for the country. At what point do we cut bait with Israel? Well, not anytime soon. Well, I mean, it seems like more and more young people hate Israel, so maybe it's like a decade or two. Maybe it's like 2020, mid 2032 or 2036. By the end of the war, we'll have spent over $100 billion on munitions. Well, I think with the I think what it is it's around $1 billion a day. Now, I don't know if that's going to go up or down. They said, well, it's $1 billion a day. That's the cost of the war. So if the war takes 3 months, they say it's 90 to 100 billion. Mad Frog, I appreciate it. I thought that was going to get read. Israel just struck oil depots. This means oil in the Gulf states is fair game. Iran was holding back. They still have mines. Don't need ships to close it. What, the Strait of Hormuz? They're gonna use mines to close the strait. Well, if they close the strait at this point, this oil spike is mainly speculation, probably because they're gonna close it or try and close it, or there's gonna be some conflict, or there already is conflict. Costco gas jumped from two. Dude, I know that's the thing is when I noticed it jumped, that's when I was like, oh god. When I saw it at 350, I was like, because it was hovering at like 309 for probably 6 months or so, or like 279. Then it was at 350. It's probably gonna be 409 if I had to guess in a week or two. I mean, if there really is military action, or maybe there already is on the Strait of Hormuz, it probably will spike to, I mean, what was it here? It'll probably spike to like maybe 120. I mean, I don't know how high can it really go at a certain point. I mean, there's got to be a threshold for it. It can only go so high. I mean, I guess maybe that's cope, but Trump says it's short term. I mean, they had to know this was potentially going to happen. This is something that they were going to do. They're desperate, so they're striking oil refineries. They're trying to really turn the pressure up on the United States domestically. And they know they want a ground invasion because so many people are vehemently against it within the United States. Gas was already $6 in Seattle before this. Dude, that's, yeah, the cost of living in some of these cities, these liberal cities, is just insane. I mean, you got to be making like 120, 150K just to live normally. Honestly, that's what inflation is with these urban centers, because rent is like 4 or 5K for a lot of people, and you live in an urban city. Do you think this might turn into boots on the ground warfare? Well, I don't think it will. I know Trump has said they're not ruling it out, and that kind of makes people nervous. Like he might do it. I mean, they said, like, this is actually true. They did say they're not ruling out a draft. And obviously, that was kind of just like, oh, because we want all of our options on the table. But that seems a bit insane to even say that. But you know, they don't want to show their hand, I guess. Trump as George W. Bush. I remember that meme of Trump as George W. Bush last year. I guess it'd be more fitting this year because there's actually a war. That was kind of just a troll last year, where it's Trump's face mushed with W. Bush's. You're gonna get sent to Iran. That would be a tough situation for me. I'd have to say, listen, can I be a journalist or something? Listen, I please let me be a journalist, maybe. Levitt was referring to troops on the ground, not the draft. Yeah, that, you know what, that could be true. They're not going to have a draft. It's ridiculous. But but she did at least say it's possible there may be troops on the ground. I know it was more of just we're going to keep all of our options open. We're not going to tell the public what we're going to do, but still. Did you see the United States committed war crimes by bombing a school and killing 137 schoolgirls? Well, they said the intelligence was that was Iran that was a rogue Iranian missile from what I heard. That's what Trump said on Air Force 1. How old am I? I'm too old for the draft. I'm 26. Imagine trying to push a ground force into the mountains in Iran. Millions would die. Yeah, that's the other thing is I don't even know how that would even work. I mean, maybe it's Israeli troops that do it, but it doesn't even. The country's too big. The topography is too challenging. You're going to airdrop people in. I mean, the thing is Iran. Their major cities are very isolated, so maybe that would help. But I just don't see it. that yeah, they would be surprised to see someone like me there. I don't think the Middle Eastern sun would not do me any favors. That would not do me well. But listen, no, in all seriousness, actually, I don't even know what to say. Honestly, because I can't even give a prediction on when this is going to end. But I think it's not going to be long term because they have to know that this is just not a good look. I know it's a micro thing, and maybe macro it works out and it helps create peace in the region if Iran becomes pro-Western or at least more pro-Western than it was. But yeah, I don't know how long. It's probably gonna be a while. It may be a while. Give it 2 months. Yeah, maybe by the end of March, the end of April. Make Iran great again. Make Israel great again. Which one? Iran now hates America even more. Well, I mean the protesters, which I mean there are a lot. I don't know if it's more than half, but obviously they love that America is taking out their regime. There's a lot of Iranian protesters. But yeah, you're right. It's going to cause more animosity. It's going to cause more hatred. I mean, we should have voted for Harris. No, I was never going to vote for Harris, honestly. I mean, I get this is not great, but I was never going to vote for Harris because I just can't vote for a Democrat, anyways. But I mean, it depends if this really hurts the economy. I mean, it becomes like it becomes an issue along multiple fronts and along multiple major issues because the economy normally is always the number one issue. Foreign policy is a kind of a top issue for some people. It depends what happens, but foreign policy, economy, inflation, which is just tied to economy, anyways. I don't know why they separate it, but that's another one. Israel Iron Dome is falling apart. I doubt that. That's what they always say. They said that last year when Iran was striking Tel Aviv. I mean, there's strikes, and then they just say, "Well, Israel's just destroyed," and it's really not. I mean, there's gonna be. They know there's gonna be strikes. Israel, they're really committed to this war. Obviously, their government loves this. This is a jackpot for them. Whether you want to believe that, well, the U.S. is heavily embedded and in some cases controlled by Israel or not, obviously this is a major victory for Israel to get the United States to do this. And they know they're going to be struck, but they say it's a worthy sacrifice to weaken Iran. Where's Anakin? I see him. I think I've seen him on my Instagram. I think I see him on my Instagram looking at my stories, but I don't know where he went. I don't see him on the chat. Israel Iron Dome can't shoot down the new Chinese cluster missile Iran keeps sending at them. Well, how many they're gonna run out of them at some point, I would imagine. Should Trump start using the strategic reserve to stabilize prices? What do you mean by that? The Bitcoin strategic reserve? The oil reserves. The problem is it doesn't really matter what you do with oil in terms of the ownership. I mean, even if we started really because Venezuela has a bunch of oil that they can't utilize properly because their government sucks and their economy sucked. Even if we got that, it wouldn't make a difference. The oil would still spike because of the Middle East. The only really way to stop the oil from spiking is either time. Well, I don't even know if it's time is going to do it. Maybe it will, but and it's de-escalation. So there has to be de-escalation in some case, but I think maybe it's just spiking really high right now and it's going to go back down even if there isn't that much de-escalation. Dems have a 46% chance of winning the Senate. What? Yeah, they're definitely going to start trending upwards in the Senate. That'll be really annoying to see. They're going to start, all of their shows are going to start saying they're going to win the Senate because of this. That's pretty much a guarantee because they were originally, they're like, oh, we're going to win the House and we're going to win all these seats, but now they're focusing on the Senate, I'm sure. They probably think they're definitely going to take the House, and now they're going to be trying to take the Senate, even though the races favor the Republicans. Listen, this is the problem with this war. But I think whatever happens with the Senate and the House and like the predictions in terms of that, it's irrelevant. It's still too early. I mean, if it's into the summer and it's like that, then it becomes more of a problem. But it doesn't really matter because this is the situation right now. It's. I think it's gonna read this one. Please read this one.
At Scott 296 tip $5 through Super Chat. Whatever happened to drilling for oil on our own shores? America first? Would that not boom supply and decrease prices?
Now, I mean, based on the oil supply, oil is a global market. I mean, yeah, you could increase the supply, not to the degree that where it would have much of an effect. I think a lot of these prices are just based on fears. So it's spiking because of fear of war, and there's no end date on the war. But it's also a problem in terms of it being a global market. So yeah, you could increase the supply, but not to any crazy amount because of the amount of oil that comes by way of the Middle East through the Strait of Hormuz. I don't think, especially within this short amount of time, it's not realistic to really bring down prices by doing that. You have to de-escalate the situation in the Middle East, or you have to just tell people, listen, we're going to live with, like, this is what Trump is doing. He's saying this is a short-term thing. Oil will stabilize. It's all right, but I mean, it is a mess. I mean, there's only so much you can do. We could have a lot of oil ownership. There's still a fuck ton of oil in the Middle East, and it's really easy to drill for there. It costs nothing. That's why so much of it is exported out from the Middle East. That's why the prices boom whenever there's a military war in the Middle East. Even if we control all the oil in the fucking Western Hemisphere, we can't get out of this situation with them holding the oil hostage over our heads. And honestly, I'm not even saying that's what it is, because technically it's U.S. aggression, but nationalized domestic production.
At Brad McThomas tip $10 through Super Chat. The gas prices are just going back up to Biden levels. We have been here before.
Yeah, and we were bitching about it when it was at Biden's levels. So now, I mean, it's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be. I don't think we can really justify and say, well, it was Biden who had high gas prices, and it's true. Biden had sustained high prices. We'll see if these are sustained. I don't think they will be. I think they'll go back down, but the worst part is that gas prices were actually starting to go lower for a good 100%. Bro, the gas prices were down significantly. Look at this. When is the last time we've had a period really? Dude, we were looking back to the 2019-2020 levels. We were looking 2019-2020. I mean, this would have been, if you're talking about 3 or 4% GDP growth a quarter, or at least 2.5 to 3% on average per quarter with 2% inflation. I mean, that was the 2019 economy. And then you're talking about, the low energy prices with the tariffs possibly generating 200 or 300 billion. They've actually nuked a lot of what Trump was trying to do with the economy because of the tariff ruling. I don't know what's going to happen to that. We can't give the money back, though. It's not. We just can't give the money back. That's the only thing we have left is the money. You're going to have to give out a fucking check to people because, especially after this, then that's just going to cause inflation, but it's not as bad as it was under Biden because they're not printing more money. It's actually not inflation technically, but because you got to print money to create inflation. It's a variant of inflation. That's what people always tell me. They say, well, technically it's not inflation because the definition is increasing the money supply. Well, everyone views inflation as prices going up, let's be honest. But that's what I always get told. Dude, how many videos? They literally pay people to make videos about Dubai. They say how safe it is because Dubai was getting struck. You know, Dubai's got this reputation of being extremely safe. So then they get struck. I mean, the Burj Khalifa almost got hit, the tallest skyscraper in the world. And they're like, oh, fuck, we're getting bad publicity. So let's pay Andrew Tate. Let's pay Ian Miles Chong. They pay him at a club, and they'd say, you got to post videos of it being safe. That's what Dubai was doing. I wonder how much they were getting paid to do that. They probably just shill out whatever. There's so much money in the United Arab Emirates. But it's like everyone can see through this. Everyone knows this. Guys, like the stream. Like the stream, please. Help me buy my next tank of gas. The next tank of gas is going to be $60. No, it'll be like $35, $40. Yeah, they have to have Andrew Tate go out to Dubai and say it's safe. They pay him like $1 million to do it, probably. With the way the news cycles work, I give it at most 1 or 2 months of this war still being in the news cycle after it ends, but it might be more if casualties build up or something more serious happens. Well, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but this is what I would say. And yeah, so let's just say it ends at the end of March. So it depends. What did we spend on it? What are the casualties? What is the economic impact? Because this is going to be an impact. And so there's going to be a lag. There's going to be a delay. It's going to cause ripples throughout the economy. The longer it goes on, the more catastrophic it is for the economy. So if it's short, you can recover. And people forget about it by like July or August if it's short. If it goes on like multiple months and they spend $200-300 billion on it and it continues to spike the price of oil and energy, and then it becomes an actual storyline leading into the midterms, and it makes it extremely hard. You know, they were already up against it with the midterms as it is. So now it's like double or triple the previous level in terms of, you know, the worry about the midterms. Huh. Yeah, my car did break down basically about a year ago. That actually basically happened a year ago, because it was the start of conference tournaments. It was a Monday, and I literally had to pull into a Best Buy parking lot. My car kept overheating. It had to get towed. It was like one block away. I was like, you're gonna, you know, seriously, it cost me like $90 to tow it like a quarter of a mile. Really? They're like, sorry, sir, it's a fucking courtesy fee or something. Why can Trump even go to war without Congress? Well, it's technically illegal, but I mean, it's kind of how it works with foreign policy. You can just kind of do it. It's like whatever. You can do a lot more stuff foreign versus domestic. All the courts are littered with liberal judges. They restrict everything. Domestic, it's a lot easier. It's all unchecked. It's supposed to be checked by Congress, but or I think I think I got that right. Foreign, it's a lot easier. Pete Hegseth interview. I didn't see the Pete Hegseth interview. I saw him talking with Trump on Air Force One, and they were talking about that Iranian, you know, the strike onto the school. Right. I'm not saying other presidents don't do it either. I'm just saying, you know, 60 minute Hegseth had a 60 minutes interview. I'm gonna have to. I'll actually have to see that. Yeah, there'll probably be some information in that to see what they're thinking. I'll go to that in a second. take their oil until repaid. Yeah, that's the other thing I'm thinking, you know, in terms of maybe they'll try and justify this by saying, well, we control their oil or something, but how does that even get accomplished? Like, what would the investment be to get to the point to where you control Iranian oil? I don't even know what the investment would have to be you're basically controlling the country. I mean, how long does that take to even do? And that's something that likely requires ground troops or some type of access. I mean, like, that's just even more complicated. Pour one out for the influencers in Dubai trying to leave. Well, they're getting paid good money, I guess, going around talking about how nice Dubai is. I mean, I do give Dubai credit for being safe. I think there's a lot of people that hate Dubai because they say it's a manufactured city. But it is very safe. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that. Sharon Moore's plea deal. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I saw him in court, but it's just it's an unfortunate situation. It's like an inorganic city the way it was built. You wonder if the line in the sand for the general public is only boots on the ground. I don't know if there's actually a line or not. I mean, I think the line is probably an extended military situation, whether it's boots on the ground or not. It's like you're there for multiple months. That's the thing. It's like, how do you really react to this? It just depends on how long it's for. I mean, obviously people are going to say it's very bad what they're doing because they're doing the bidding of Israel, but I mean, you could kind of justify it by saying you want Iran weakened. It's many decades coming. Maybe there's just updated this if it's on here.
People ask boots on the ground, no boots on the ground, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, go in. President Trump knows, I know, you don't tell the enemy, you don't tell the press, you don't tell anybody what your limits would be on an operation. We're willing to go as far as we need to in order to be successful.
Right, I mean, I guess that's fair.
I'm in the room every day, and I see how President Trump operates and what he's putting first, and it's America, Americans, and American interests.
It has been said that the Israelis, through Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, provided on February 23rd key information about intelligence they had developed about the likely whereabouts of Ali Khamenei and many in his inner circle. That the U.S.
Bro, that's got to be a fake hairline. Like, a boxed hairline for a white dude?
Likely whereabouts of Ali Khamenei and many in his inner circle. That the U.S. then checked it out through the CIA, confirmed that, and that was an opportunity that presented itself to the president. And that was the precipitating factor for this war. That's the way it's been reported. Is that accurate, Mr. Secretary?
President Trump's approach has been our interest in advancing those interests from the beginning. And so the fact that intelligence was gathered, whether from Israelis or ours, and always checked by our intel agencies to make sure it's accurate. A lot of times the best way to start operations is a trigger-based or condition-based moment, and you can work together on whether that makes sense. But we were always controlling the throttle about whether or not to go or not go, and ultimately to advance American interests and protect American lives.
The President said recently there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. What does that look like, unconditional surrender? How will you know it's real?
It means we're fighting to win. It means we set the terms. We'll know when they're not capable of fighting. There'll be a point where they'll have no choice but to do that. Whether they know it or not, they will be combat ineffective. They will surrender.
Typically, the understanding of a surrender is person to person. Is that what would be required in a matter like this?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. Whether they want to admit it or not, whether their pride lets them say it out loud or not, it's President Trump who will set the terms of that.
The President said recently there will be no deal.
We're very much on track, on plan. I was down at CENTCOM
Someone might hear that and think it's almost over.
Well, we're not flying a mission accomplished banner like George W. Bush on an aircraft carrier. We're not doing that, and we haven't done that. But we can be clear with the American people that this is not a fair fight, and that's on purpose. Our capabilities are overwhelming compared to what Iran's are. And frankly, when you combine our Air Force with the Air Force of the Israeli Defense Forces, it's the two most powerful air forces in the world. The ability for us to be up over the top and hunting with more conventional munitions, gravity bombs, 500-pound, 1,000-pound, 2,000-pound bombs on military targets, that we haven't even really begun to start that effort of the campaign, which is going to showcase even more how we will execute on those objectives.
It's probably going to be a longer situation then. Do you think the U.S. is overcommitted in Iran? Well, I think the U.S. this is depending on if the intelligence is right. I think they say, well, this is our time to strike Iran before they get fully built up in terms of ballistically. Could be our only chance to do it before they're built up, so we need to do it now. Yeah, I think there's no appetite for a Middle Eastern war, especially a prolonged war, especially a war that's going to have this impact economically, domestically. I think it's going to be a problem. They're gonna win, right? Because they're way more powerful. They're gonna win in the general sense of taking out a lot of the top generals and the missiles and the nuclear silos and whatever. But it's a perspective thing. These Middle Eastern wars are all just perspective, and they're dependent on what the U.S. decides to do. I don't know if they're going to be overcommitting. I mean, at this point, you say they're overcommitted. It's been like 6 or 7 days. I mean, if they're there for a month, 2 months, 3 months, then it becomes, a longer situation. I don't think anyone really knows exactly what it looks like. Unconditional surrender. Why would they surrender? It just doesn't. I mean, unless they just keep bombing them. I'm guessing Iran thinks the U.S. has pressure domestically, and at some point they'll stop, so there's no reason for them to surrender. But if the U.S. just keeps bombing them, maybe at a certain point they'll say, okay, no mas. Have you seen tons of AI videos of Iran destroying U.S. jets and B-2 bombers? Yeah, there's a lot of AI videos. They say, well, Iran has painted fake planes on the tarmac and the U.S. used missiles to destroy them. It's all crap AI. It's third world slop AI. They use it, then they bring out the Chinese professor. And they say, well, he's Chinese. He says Iran won. It's like, dude, come on. Bring out the Chinese professor. Yes, we need another history lesson. Any females in the Trump administration still? Levitt and Bondi. Tulsi. But I think Tulsi's going to be gone. I think Bondi's going to be gone. Just by the sheer amount of losses Iran has taken militarily and through personnel, especially leadership, they were completely unprepared. Well, you're never going to be prepared. You're never going to be prepared facing the U.S. in a military situation, especially a country like Iran. They got battered, and this was to be expected. But the question is what happens as it keeps going. I mean, they're going to keep striking them, but is there a breaking point? That's the real question. Is there a breaking point for Iran and whatever was left of their regime? They want to just continue to just weaken and isolate the regime and destroy the regime and force some type of submission. Why did Trump fire Kristi Noem? Incompetence. Sneak attack during negotiations is Bush League. No, the negotiations were basically over. He gave him a 10-day window, and the 10-day window expired, if I remember the timeline correctly. But a sneak attack, I mean, there's a sneak attack when there's a buildup that's lasted for a month or two. They were building up. How is it a sneak attack? Iran had to have known there was an attack coming. I mean, it's going to come Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, I thought the attack was going to come 2 weeks before it actually came. Everybody, it was the most telegraphed thing. The president is for MAGA, not MAGA, no new wars. How was she incompetent most deportations ever? She was just terrible with handling the press and promoting the administration's message on deportations and immigration. And it's just not a good look. I mean, she's out, with the makeup and stuff. You're Homeland Security. We're playing dress up. It's just not a good look. It's just not the right person for the job. It's the wrong person for the type of job like that. Most deportations ever. I mean, I agree that's true, but also that's because of the massive funding that ICE has now. Right? They've got a ridiculous amount of money. And that's from the big, beautiful bill. You believe Trump with the Iran situation when we get the Doge checks, tariff checks, price coming down, Ukraine? Yeah, but how are we gonna? We're not getting Doge checks. You're gonna drive up inflation even more. I agree with the tariffs. The tariff checks should happen. I think you have to try and force that through Congress somehow because of this. But that's also going to be a driver of prices increasing. Technically not inflation, but prices increasing. Mullen, I don't know. I mean, I think he's probably going to be better than Christie. Bondi versus Levitt. Who wins Levitt? Backed off immigration, threatened Greenland without for nothing and got nothing. Well, no, there's a deal with Greenland. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, he needs to talk about it. They said they were working on a deal with Greenland. I don't know what it is, though. The immigration, I mean, they've gotten all the deportations. They've gotten like 2 or 3 million. How large do you think deportations will get? Well, look, I mean, we would just be debating numbers and people saying, well, the administration lies. I don't know. I mean, they could get 500,000 physical removals, physical interior removals around 500,000. They could get 1 million or 2 million self deportations a year. They could get 5 or 6 million deportations within the next few years if their numbers are accurate. They say, well, there's only been 400K. Well, those are the physical interior removals. Those are the hardest deportations to do. They cost the most. The self-deportations and the border turnaways, I mean, the border turnaways are not counted as deportations, but what outcome would have to happen for the Iran situation to spin positive for the Trump administration, Republicans, regime change, obviously, other than that? Well, I mean, even regime change, dude, because think about what regime change may create a power vacuum, and I feel like if they want regime change, it's going to take a long time. But yeah, it would be quick regime change. It would be a quick regime change and an installation of a more pro-Western leadership that happens in a time that doesn't just cripple U.S. in terms of this oil situation and the prices staying high, and it affects the economy domestically. We want to mitigate the amount in terms of time that this war affects the domestic U.S. economy. So the number one thing that they need it to end. Now, obviously, they're saying, well, we're committed to it and it's a longer term investment and it's going to create peace in the region. But for the administration, the immediate best messaging is for it to end or de-escalate. Obviously, and you have to get something out of it because you've invested into it, so you have to get something out of it. So they're going to have to probably bomb them for 3 or 4 weeks, and I think they just want to bomb them into complete submission. They want some type of unconditional surrender without any U.S. boots because they think they can just bomb them into submission, and it's basically a waiting game. Iran thinks there's no way that they're going to keep this war going on for months because it's very unpopular. And the U.S. struck Iran. Iran did not strike the U.S. See, that's the thing. If Iran struck the U.S., Trump would have full justification to do whatever he wants with this, and it would be very bad for them. But because Trump struck and they said it's preemptive, he doesn't have the domestic justification. We have all these oil reserves. I know, but it's a global market. So the prices are going to be affected by what happens in the Middle East, and the Middle East exports, because of how easy it is to drill there. It's what is it, like 25% of the oil flows through the strait? %20 of Americans support the war. Well, I don't know what the exact numbers are. I would imagine that they're not very high. You know, I've seen some stuff where they're a bit higher if it's a short-term war. We are oil starving Iran on top of everything, right? And so it's going to take a little bit of time if that's really their goal. You know, at a certain point, Iran's going to run out of everything, literally everything. But it is a time-sensitive thing to where people are going to be angry that Trump is waging this. GOP support for the war is above 90% via Rasmussen. That's the pollster? All these grifters. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. If it's above 90%, I would imagine it's pretty high for the Republicans. I mean, people are going to support Trump. It's just loyalty to the administration. You know, and this is something to where, well, you know, it's easier to support the war at the beginning, but then it drags on for months and months and months, and it starts affecting people's bank account, you know, in terms of higher prices. Then it becomes a bit more of an issue. You find it funny that some right-wing people think there's not enough deportations while Dems are doing massive protests in the streets because there's too much of it. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. It's like the deportations, you can't even, you know, you allow, you know, 2-3 million people to come in per year. You can't even deport a million without people rioting about it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But that's an entire, you know, that's the whole and we want to focus on issues like that. We really do. We don't want to be involved with these foreign conflicts because there's so many problems domestically. What are the betting odds on the new Ayatollah surviving? Right. Nobody in Iran should want to be named the new Ayatollah. I'll say that. I thought they already had a new Ayatollah, and he also died, and they had like their fourth or fifth one. Trump was saying. Megyn Kelly may run with Tucker. Ticket for 2028. Yeah, I don't think so. And I know Megyn Kelly has come out now against this war, where she's been very critical of what, you know, they've done. At a certain point, there will be negotiations on this to end this war, or I don't know if they'll have them. Maybe Trump is saying it's only going to be unconditional surrender. You know, if it's unconditional surrender, then it will take time. It's just the reality. But nobody knows. Then it becomes the Iranian breaking point if they're able to continue to strike Iran. And also it becomes, well, what is the level of weaponry that is supplied to Iran via Russia and China? Because if they're not getting much support, then maybe their breaking point could come about a lot sooner. Well, I think, you know, somebody was saying, you know, that the stocks, I think the market's going to have a really horrible week. It was almost like a lag. I think Bitcoin's going to have a tough week. You know, Bitcoin's actually been trending a little bit higher, but I think Bitcoin's going to have a tough week because the market's going to get crushed. I mean, with oil being this high. Market is going to tumble tremendously. What do the futures look like right now in the S&P? What happens to Bitcoin tomorrow because the market tanks? Minus 800 points. Stock market is having a limit down tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I think because of the oil, it's gonna, it's gonna go down a bit. I mean, I don't know, 2%. People are gonna bitch about it, I guess. What happened? What happened to no new wars? Can't even use him saying Iran can't have a nuke as an excuse because Midnight Hammer. Trump is a neocon, so is Vance. Trump, I think, was blackmailed. Honestly, if I'll be honest with you. But look, maybe Trump just had an epiphany and said, well, he wants to reshape the entire global structure and they've tried to get Iran for decades and I don't know, man. What happened to Trump Mobile? You'd have to ask Eric and Don Jr. I don't know. That was a joke, that phone, but they're doing American Bitcoin now they're doing mining Bitcoin. Do you think that Epstein is the blackmail? Well, I mean, it would make sense in terms of the timing. I don't know. It might be something that's not even related to Epstein at all. Trump's lived a long life. Trump has been talking about taking out Iran for 30 years. I do understand that, but it's also the complete polar opposite of what he's been running on at least the past 10 years or so, just as a foreign strategy. To have this aggression to the point to where there's U.S. casualties and there's a potentially extended war. There's just no appetite for any of this domestically. And that's why I think it's for the best. But the thing is I keep saying I want it to end quickly, but, you do have to come out of this and say, we accomplished X, Y, and Z, and that's why we did this. You can't just end it. So, I mean, it's one of those things to where it's like, well, hopefully their regime is toppled, honestly. That's the best, in a quick manner. That's the best scenario. But it's going to take at least weeks of bombing. Unless something happens, maybe they choke them out somehow. Iran tried to assassinate Trump twice, so Trump is getting his revenge. I don't really see how that would be. I mean, if Iran tried assassinating him, it's the stupidest thing ever. Their country would just be severely weakened if they did something like that. It would not be good for them. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Republican boomers support it, but overall, it's not gonna have much support in terms of Iran. A lot of these newer kids, they never grew up with the hatred for Iran. Is Trump getting blackmailed by Israel? Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it has to be on the table, but you never know for sure. I just say he gets blackmailed because it does seem pretty surprising if this is a long-term situation. I mean, it helps the U.S., but it helps Israel more, so you have to wonder. We don't have information on Thomas Crooks. Yeah, I know. I don't know what to make of that, man, honestly. What if Trump got the savior complex from the protesters calling him wanting to add peace in the Middle East to his presidency? He does want to be impactful. Look at no, 100%. That's the thing is you look at it and I said, well, Trump wants to reshape the global picture for the U.S. I mean, that's what all these campaigns are. That's what Cuba's going to be. That's what Venezuela was. That's what Greenland could have been. That's what Iran is in the Middle East. That's what his peace board is, his board of peace. It's all these big global foreign things that he tries to do to really reshape the picture for the United States geopolitically. Nah, she never announced the draft. You know, and I can try and find that video, but she didn't announce that, man. Come on.
Their leadership is just rapidly going. Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead. And it's an amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years we were pushed.
That's on the Chinese professor. That's a joke. That's total crap. He teaches high school mathematics. Look, he's going to say they're going to lose the war. What does that even mean? Like, the U.S. losing a war in the Middle East is not actually losing a war. They can't lose a war because, like, it's all public perception. That's how you lose a war in the Middle East. You don't actually lose via being bombed to death. It's not possible. So if Iran wants to have resolve, and if they want to put up with 3 months of bombing, then you want to say it's a loss for the U.S. Basically, Iran as a country has destroyed their nuclear sites, their nuclear programs eradicated, then that's a win for them. Like,
pushed around, and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers.
Right. That's actually a very good perspective. Like, in terms of an actual war, a country versus country lost what their nation is ruined. Their nation's in ruins. America is fine. There hasn't been a single missile that's touched the United States. So so lost, it's such a relative term. Like, it's all like this proxy stuff. Like, you lost because the American people have a negative view of this war. Like, okay. I understand if their regime holds, you could say, well, that's bad for the U.S. because of what they invested into it and what they wanted to accomplish. But, I mean, if their infrastructure has been completely destroyed, I don't think they really won.
Are being wiped out. They're attacking the...
What is this shit? There's a shutdown? Nationwide shutdown? Oh, man. Dude, imagine if there was a shutdown at the fucking airport when you're traveling. I haven't... This traveling is just... Dude, look at this. Look at this. There's lines in the parking garage. Bruh. What the fuck is this? Oh my...
What? What makes that?
That poor dog. That poor dog.
And now I invite you to scream.
Dude, this dog is like, this bitch is crazy. This bitch is insane. Get your girl, bro. Get your girl. Bro, this is somebody's girlfriend in the chat. Get your girl, dog. Who's winning the SEC tournament? I guess probably Florida. I mean, how do you not pick Florida? Seventh U.S. troop died during conflict with Iran, so there's 7 U.S. casualties now. Yeah, definitely not Auburn. Auburn shouldn't make the tournament. I don't know, man. The feminist screaming stuff, it's like so 2016. Now, I wouldn't want to be a drone operator. That's not a good job. I mean, I guess it's a safe job, but it's a brutal job. You see the drones with Russia, Ukraine. Not good stuff. Who do you think might be a Cinderella? That's a good question. Maybe South Florida, but I don't know. Like a double-digit seed, it's tough to say. Do you think Iran can strike mainland U.S.? No, they can't reach it. Their missiles can't reach it. They can't even reach it. You know, whether it's accurate or not, it's just not possible at this point for them. But even if they try reaching, I mean, wouldn't it just allow the U.S. to just bomb Iran to smithereens even more? Like, it's a lose-lose even if they try it. What happened to Ben Shapiro's eyebrows? He got, I guess he got some type of, he got the thickness, something to thicken them or something. Do you think Latinos will ever assimilate like Italians did, voting wise? There is almost close, but constant mass immigration slowed it. No, I don't think you'll see this. I don't think you'll see that. You're talking about coming from Mexico versus coming from Europe. It's not the same.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a
Sneeko praying when calling the performance. The performative Muslim. Would you let Levitt draft you herself? That'd be a good situation. No, she didn't say that. She was talking about possible troops on the ground. That's different. That's different entirely from a draft. They're trying to swing it like the woman asked about troops on the ground at the end of her question. There will be a no regime change. Well, it's all relative. I mean, obviously there's going to be some type of change. They're killing all their top leaders. I mean, maybe the new leaders that step in are going to be more pro-U.S., but where's the release of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? We got to get this Bitcoin. They should buy Bitcoin right now. They're not going to buy Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes under 50K, the U.S. government needs to make a purchase of 5% of the supply. It would be great. It would be a huge boom for them. They'd get a 5x off of it. Easy. Tehran is getting hit hard. Have you seen those videos? You don't know what to believe. Some of the videos are like really good AI fakes with Tehran getting hit. But they had like refineries or something get hit. It's like a bunch of black smoke up everywhere. It's very bad. Yeah, they sold all the Bitcoin under Biden. They sold a lot of Bitcoin. What are the odds the U.S. takes control of the Strait of Hormuz? I think they kind of already have. I mean, I guess unless there are some that they have mines to deal with, but the naval fleet has been virtually destroyed. The Iranian naval fleet, from what they're saying. El Salvador still buying 1 Bitcoin a day. Right now is when you should buy Bitcoin. It's a bit lower. You're going to DCA every day. I know, dude. This video, like, obviously what has to happen is they need some type of detection. They need an AI detection system just to see if something's AI, and then they need to put at the bottom of the video a disclaimer: this is artificial intelligence. Basically, that's what needs to happen. It's like when you upload anything on YouTube, it goes through it goes through different checks to make sure the video is permissible or whatever. They need to do that with X. They need to just make sure the video needs to get run through something to make sure it's not AI, and then if it's AI, there needs to be a disclaimer at the bottom of it. Like they do with sponsorships now. There'll be a little disclaimer at the bottom that says this is a sponsorship promotion or something, promoted sponsorship. They should put this is AI or something at the bottom. I mean, that's the way you fix it. At least maybe some videos will get through though, but that's kind of the way you would fix it. When you're buying Bitcoin below 60K, I think Bitcoin around 50K is probably the best time to buy it. So yeah, I mean, right around 60K would also be a good buy. You like Erica Kirk over Levitt? No. Hmm. The problem is that AI is bad at recognizing AI. Yeah, they'd have to actually develop an AI, and its only goal is to recognize what something is AI. They'd have to develop another AI agent that's only job is to recognize whether something or not. Honestly, that's what you have to do, because AI is becoming unusable because of the amount it's being used and the manipulation. So in essence, it's become unusable because of the way in which it's being used. So you need an AI agent to actually police AI. That's what they need, something like that. That exists. Well, they need to implement it on Twitter, I guess. My AI agent. Don't be a panikin. Yeah, this is a bit different than the tariffs, man. This one's a bit different. I mean, I agree with you for tariffs and stuff like that, but buy oil stock. Bro, you're gonna buy it now. It's up 60%. It's up 70% in the past 6 months. We should have bought it in January, I'll say that. You would have made a nice X. $150 a barrel? Bro, what? It hasn't reached $150 a barrel since ever. This goes back to 2013. Bro, there's no way. What would $150 a barrel be, like $6? I mean, that's not sustainable. They wouldn't be able to sustain that domestically. It's not possible. You know, they might do, they're going to have to, I think, do something domestically about some type of reserves or something that may help alleviate it. But I don't know how much it would really alleviate it. It's a global market. I mean, I guess they could do something to secure the Strait of Hormuz and say, well, it's secure now, and maybe that would calm people's fears. $144 was the peak in 2007. They're going to have to do something, though, I think, because it's going to keep going on. There's really not great movies anymore, man. And I'm not even just saying that. It's just like, I mean, I love the movies from 2013, 2014, 2015. Nowadays, it's not good. I think this is going to get run off. I wonder if Rubio and Vance are thinking, WTF, this old man is about to kill my political career. Yeah, and you know what? People have been saying that it hurts Vance more than Rubio, even though Rubio supported this war more than Vance. It's interesting.
At Mendoza_line tip $5 through Super Chat. I wonder if Rubio and Vance are thinking, WTF, this old man is about to kill my political career.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it hurts Vance significantly, and Vance is really, he hasn't really made a statement on it, so it's, but Vance, you know, he was the one that kind of has been more anti, so it looks like hypocrisy now. He's going to have to come out and support it. Florida winning the tournament? I don't think so. I think I'm going to pick Arizona. Let you in on a little inside knowledge. I'll pick Arizona to win the tournament. Well, I mean, unless they sustain an injury during during their conference tournament. Yeah, I saw the anime clip with all of them. Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, and that was an interesting clip. That was a very strange clip about the TDS. I mean, they're really pumping them out there. Some of the MAGA people are pumping them out. These AI clips. You got to go to the doctor for your TDS. Megyn Kelly was there. Candace Owens. Official prediction on how long this will last. I'm going to say it probably ends April 1st. It's a fake April Fool's joke. No, I don't know. It'll probably end like April 14th. Trump deriding syndrome. There's two different TDSs, I guess. There might be two different TDSs. Michigan. I don't know about Michigan. I mean, Michigan definitely has had a great year. I'm not denying that. Most of the oil increase is because of a narrow waterway in the Middle East. Yeah, and it's honestly just speculation because they don't know when the war is going to be over, so it spikes up even higher because of it. But you know, the thing is the administration had to know this was coming. And this is like a bargaining chip for Iran, basically, the oil being higher, and it puts more pressure on the U.S. domestically. And they had to have known it was coming. I mean, you can't predict the exact price it'll shoot to, and I think they might try and do something to alleviate it. You have to see what the options are in terms of what they can do, but getting full control of the strait, maybe. I don't know if it's feasible, but you'd be selling here. Yeah, I mean, if it's been up like 60% in the past, or 50% in the last 4 days, I mean. Unlikely tool Trump is eyeing to tackle rising oil prices amid the Iran conflict. Very small price to pay for safety and peace. Dow futures sink 850 points. %20 increase. Oh, they won't let me see the fucking past 10 years. Man, look at what we had in 2019. I mean, obviously inflation, it's going to kind of warp this, but still. Obviously this is because of COVID, but
At man with two eyes 6,911 tip $5 through Super Chat. Massey 28. Vance has taken too long to come out against the war. Also Rubio is straight up for it. This is going to last years, not weeks.
well, I mean, if it lasts years, I mean, it's very bad. And no matter which way you look at it, it's very bad if it lasts years. Massey, he may run as an independent. I don't think he'll get more than 1%. I think Vance opposes it but can't say it because it's his administration. It's a horrible situation for him. Yeah, you think Vance opposes it, doesn't want to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, what is Vance really going to say at this point? If anything, he's been kind of coy on the entire thing, so he looks like he's going to come out now and fully support it. He's going to have to support it. I mean, that's what you have to do as the VP. Yeah, the talking lady speaks when it's $5 or above donation. That's what it is. I could set it to $4.99. Then it'll, because a lot of the donations are $4.99. That's what I should set it to. Yeah, I know a lot of people tell me about her, the Indian wife. People say it's a big problem. I mean, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. Vance, I think, is taking on some water in terms of his presidential chances at this point. I mean, you could rebound. I mean, he's still the VP, and it depends on what happens with this war. But, it's all tied to him. It's his administration. He's going to get blamed more than Rubio because he's the VP. Vance names his kid Vivek. Yeah, I agree. It's weird. I mean, but I don't know. You have to ask him. Do you support Nick Fuentes' push for a more radical, further right Republican leader in 28 and beyond? Yeah, but the problem is you're not going to get that. It's just not realistic. Not with the country's makeup at this point. I mean, the only way you would get a more radical conservative leader is if liberals come in and fuck everything up even more. That's the only way, because then people would turn hard right. 2028, there's no way post-Trump, you're going to get a radical conservative. If anything, they would turn more radical liberal, based on the way countries flip. Especially the United States goes back and forth, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. I don't think you're going to get any crazy radical Republican leadership in terms of having a chance to win, in 28. It seems very unlikely. How do these people not understand Fuentes is not a Republican or conservative? Yeah, I mean, labels or whatever. He's like a conservative, but he's further right. So he wants somebody further right than Trump, significantly further right, to come in. But again, it's like it just doesn't seem realistic for the country based on our demographics, based on our immigration. The voting base at this point. How are they going to elect? I mean, maybe it's white Hispanics, but a lot of white people are liberals. It's like even if you got all the white people to vote for a specific party, you're never going to get that. It's not going to happen. I mean, I think the country would have to go hard left, and there'd be a bunch of... I mean, that's what happened with Biden, honestly. The country went to the left. I don't even think Biden was far left, but they had all this immigration... Biden obviously was not far left, but they had all this immigration problems, and it kind of allowed Trump to come in and win. But Trump's not far right. Not even close. I mean, this is kind of what they designed. The problem, this is the problem with the United States. You look at the democracy, you look at the founding fathers, you look at all of it. And this is kind of the design of it. It's to make sure no one side has extreme power. There's no extreme that rises in the United States that creates some crazy dictatorship. So it's working in that sense. But you know what it didn't work in is the ability to rapidly change the demographics of the country. When they passed the Hart-Celler, that was done, it wasn't democratically done. And they said it wasn't going to impact the democratics or the demographics of the United States. That was the real issue. It actually doesn't really have anything to do with our democracy, the problem with the U.S. If anything, all of these systems in place and the way the country is and the fact that it's not radical, it means that the Founding Fathers system was actually working. It just doesn't work with some of this congressional stuff, like a Hart-Celler Act or something like that. That's where it didn't work. Let's vote Democrats because then people will be radicalized and vote for us is so dumb. But dude, the thing is that's kind of what happened in 2020. They voted Democrats and then people said, fuck that, let's vote Trump now. It's just what the country does. They just go back and forth. I mean, but again, Trump's not a radical. That's the thing. So you want a radical conservative in, I don't see how that's possible unless the country just goes hard left and people say, fuck this. But at that point, it's like, what is the country's demographics? I mean, you do have to ask yourself that. I don't know how many people they would allow to come to the country, like the next liberal regime. I'm not sure. It's impossible to say. I think they want a massive I mean, they've already done it. I think they want a massive immigration influx. Liberals do. They probably say it's justified because of ICE and stuff. So you wonder if that happens, it becomes even more challenging. They want them naturalized. That's the important thing. They need them naturalized. They need voters. They are not having children. Liberals are not. Their ideology is extincting themselves. The liberal ideology, the modern liberal ideology, it extincts themselves because they tell women not to get married and not to have kids. That will never win. But I guess they could potentially win if they import a bunch of the voters. They need to import the voters badly. For them, it's important. And it is like a multi-decade thing. You're not going to see the extinction until a few decades down the line. But they think they can just import the voters. It won't matter. Yeah, no, I understand. I just wouldn't vote for the Democrats either myself. I just don't... I think a lot of what Nick Fuentes is doing is just like, it's more for attention in most cases, honestly, because he's already said he's not going to vote for the Republicans, but now he's like, oh, I'm actually going to vote for the Democrats. I think it's like, all right, man. I think it's just more for attention when you say you're going to vote for the Democrats. I don't really. I mean, obviously, this war is unfortunate. We may lose the Senate if this keeps up. Yeah, I'm not ready to say that. I mean, they have such a massive advantage in terms of where the Senate races are, the important ones. You know, if they lose the Senate, obviously things have gone very wrong. But obviously, every liberal and their mom is going to predict that now. So it's what you're going to have to hear that. Trump's biggest accomplishment: closed down the border, massive Doge cuts, big beautiful bill. Yeah, the border is the biggest accomplishment. I mean, that's kind of mainstream opinion. The big beautiful bill did do some crazy things in terms of funding. Um, the Doge cuts, you know, people will say those are not. I mean, it depends. They promised a lot with those Doge cuts, and you could say they underdelivered on what they promised, but you know, they cut a lot of the fat. They cut a lot of government jobs that were useless. Or I guess we deem them useless. Yeah, I know. The thing is people wouldn't really consider Doge to be a success because of what they promised versus what they actually got done. You know, they had so much. They said they were going to eliminate the deficit, cutting stuff. And then they couldn't even touch the military. Next Republican president needs to close immigration on all legal and illegal immigration. Yeah, I mean, but think about how long will that even last? I mean, when a liberal leader gets in, they're gonna allow it again. So I just the country. I don't think there's any. You know, I think there are ways to move forward, but it would have to be a different iteration of the United States. I would say that, and that's another topic for another time. But it's just like with where the country is, man. You're gonna stop immigration for 100 years. You can't do it. You physically can't do it because a liberal's gonna get power at some point. It's just not a realistic thing. Just that's with where the demographics are. It's just. Why didn't Trump attack Iran in his first? Well, Trump did kill their top. Dude, what the fuck? You got to stop with that, man. He did kill one of their top generals, so he did go after Iran. I mean, it depends in terms of strategy. You know, first term versus second term. Maybe Israel really got in his ear. Maybe there's some things behind the scenes happening that pressured him to do it. Military dictatorship for a few decades. I know, but that coincides with the collapse of the country if you do that, because you just throw out the. I mean, I understand people think the Constitution's already been thrown out because of what's happened with immigration, but you know, you would be talking about something like that where things would get a lot worse. I think it's easier to build than destroy and then build. People always, you know, with the country, the United States, it's like you're talking about destroying everything and having a massive recession for a decade or something if you really want to do something like that, you know, and try and change the demographics in a massive way. It's just people are not going to go for that. It's easier to build something else than destroy. That's kind of what I think. Today is only the 9th day since the war started. It'll probably be over in a few weeks. Yeah, I hear you. You know, and that's really something to where we could say, well, it was an overreaction, and if that's true. But I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things to where
At Man with Two Eyes 6911 tip $5 through Super Chat. I'm not voting in 26. I'm done with the lesser of two evils BS. My vote has to be earned in 28. I really liked Vance, but he has a lot of shady ties.
Well, Vance has come out against this behind the scenes, I think. But, yeah, I mean, 26, obviously, look, we have to see how this war develops, but, you know, hopefully, I hope the Republicans can win in 26 just because Trump's going to be fucked if they lose. He's not going to, I mean, he could pass things maybe through executive, but, I mean, his power is going to be stripped if they lose. If they lose in 26, man, it's just going to be really annoying to deal with. Asia markets down 7%. Yeah, I mean, they already opened, I'm guessing. Yeah, thank you for retracting that. It's just not necessary. Republicans will for sure keep the Senate. They just have to fully invest in House seats. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say for sure they're going to keep the Senate. I think they have a better chance. I think they're favorites to keep the Senate. They're favorites to keep the Senate, but if the Senate doesn't pass the SAVE Act, then I mean, but how is the Senate going to pass the SAVE Act? Nobody thinks they're getting rid of the filibuster, so how does this work? I mean, there's going to have to be concessions. Like, there's no way it's going to be passed. These Democrats will not vote for it. Now, maybe they can get around the filibuster somehow, but they get like 51 or 52 votes. They have to get to 60 if... I don't know, man. They need to pass it somehow, I agree. I mean, I think it'd just be good for just overall integrity of the elections, and I don't... The Democrats know they're going to lose voters, though, if they pass it. I mean, I think they should be able to brute force it through with the bipartisan support they have of it. Do a video on what would happen if the Twin Towers got hit at the same time at the same angle. I mean, but like, what is this? What are we really speculating at that point? Like, how many of these speculation videos is there gonna be? Yeah, I mean, they say Vance Rubio. That's not gonna happen. I mean, there's no way. It's up to 113. 25% increase on the day, 71% on the month. Yeah, we're just gonna have to see, and it's gonna cool off. This is you know. No way Democrats sweep Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Maine. Yeah, I think for Republicans, I'm not going to say Ohio's 50-50, maybe 55-45 Republican. Michigan's challenge for Republicans. Georgia's big challenge for Republicans. Maine, I mean, Collins, you could say she's not even Republican, but you definitely want Collins to win over the Democrat. Texas, yeah, I don't see how they lose Texas. You know, it's all the same blue Texas stuff every single midterm cycle. Oil is $100, 113. How bad is the market going to be? How bad? I mean, it's going to have to. The market's going to tank tomorrow a bit. Yeah, no, they wanted Jasmine Crockett to win, which would have been easier to beat than Tellerico, 100%. That's why it was funny she came out and said, well, the Republicans rigged the primary against her. The Republicans rigged the Democrat primary against you when they wanted you to win because you'd be easier to beat. It doesn't make any sense. I bit my lip. God damn it. I gotta stop. Yeah, it's reaching a 5-year high watermark. Yeah, Trump's gonna get some shit for this. I mean, this has got to be a temporary spike. Okay. What's the weather like? Oh, the weather is 51 degrees. It's pretty warm here. Pretty warm. You know, it's actually going to get cold again next week. It's been pretty warm, though. This was a beautiful day today. It was a beautiful day where it was like a 55, 60 degrees all day. You get some really nice days in March. You know, March, it's a lot different. When it's 55, 60, it feels really warm. When you get those first few fall days when it's 55, 60. That's one of the best things of the 4 seasons, when you get the first few fall days and it's finally gets down to like 50 degrees. I just wish it was sunny more in the winter. That's the big problem that I have. How overcast it is in the winter and just the lack of sunlight. I mean, we get way more sun, though, than they get in, like, fucking Europe. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it there. How far will the Illini go in March? I don't know what their bracket looks like. I'm not a huge believer in the Illini, but I could say Elite 8. Maybe they'll make it too. I mean, they have a really good analytics. They've got a good young guard. You get a good guard play in March. Underwood, seasoned coach at this point. They've got some components. I mean, who's their 1 seed? And who's their 3 seed in their region? Thoughts on DST? Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think we should stay on DST because I don't like when the sun sets really early in the winter. I don't think it's good. And so I think DST is best, you know. But they've ran into problems trying, you know, they said they were going to change it, and then a bunch of people said they can't do it because it's too dark out in the morning. So Trump just said we can't change it. It's not something that has enough support. So we have to keep changing the clocks twice. You know, the Trump administration tried changing that. You went to Ohio Stadium. Yeah, I mean, it's got a capacity of like 105K. They jam people in those football stadiums, those college stadiums. They're all bleachers. Arizona let you down every. Yeah, the thing is I try and pick a team that is kind of due. The last 2 years I've picked Houston. Houston at least made the final last year. They probably shouldn't have, though. Duke blew the game against them in the Final Four. But I might decide to go with Arizona. I think Arizona is going to be the third. I pretty much guarantee they're going to be the third most popular team. So it's not like they're the most popular team or even the second most. Because I know Duke is going to be the most popular team picked to win. Then Michigan's going to be number 2. Then Arizona. Then Florida. But I may not even have Florida going to the Final Four. I don't know. They're probably going to get seeded with Houston. But I don't know. Houston hasn't been playing that great towards the end of the year either. I know Florida's been playing amazing. I know people probably pick Florida a lot to go to the Final Four. Yeah, I have a pretty good jump shots. I haven't shot in a while, though. USA almost lost to Great Britain. That's embarrassing. If USA loses to frickin' Japan again, dude, oh, it's just Otani glaze constantly. Nah, you can't be shorting oil right now. It's going to continue going up. One v one you in basketball? How tall are you? The Mexican Jewish president? It's Scheinbaum. Yeah. She's actually cooperated with Trump, except with the cartels. You're 6 foot. You might be able to beat me. Honestly, depends how good. Depends how athletic you are. I don't know. I could go. I mean, I could show you guys. I'm actually decent. I'll go shooting hoops with my brother. I'll show you. I mean, I'd maybe be a bit rusty. Yeah, I think oil is probably going to hang around this price for a little bit but maybe they announce something tomorrow. I think they're going to have to announce something. They're going to try and stem the price. They're going to try and stem it. They're going to say they're going to do something. That's what that Fox News article was about. They said Trump is going to do something about this. Sir, what can we do to lower... He talks to his advisors. We need to do something to lower the price of oil. Well, you do X, Y, and Z, and it gets lowered. But the number one thing that would lower it is obviously de-escalation. They're not going to do that right now, though. Sean Marion, that's a shoot. That's a crazy shot, man. That's a push shot. Open the strategic reserves. Is that what the article was? Probably. I'm a Peyton Pritchard type of player. I don't know. I don't have as much. I don't think I think I have as much hustle as Peyton Pritchard. I don't have as much hustle as him. I haven't played basketball in a while, but you don't really lose a jump shot. I mean, you get a rusty, but would set a bad precedent if we de-escalate it right now due to oil prices with Iran. Yeah, they're not going to de-escalate. It's way too early for them to do that. Way too early. You know, if you've committed to this, you kind of have to commit to it, and you're gonna take the good with the bad. So you kill the Ayatollah, but then you have higher oil prices short term. So if they commit to it, they have to understand this is what's going to happen. They have to deal with it. And there's things they can do, but I'm going to wait for this lady to read it. $115. Yeah, $115. We might actually see it reach a 10-year high. It's actually trending towards reaching a 10-year high tonight. I didn't realize because it was at one. Wait, what was it at? 107. I'm waiting for her to read this. If she's not going to, I'll just have to read it myself. I see this donation right here. One more super chat. Trump threw his presidency away. for the juice box people's country. Very sad and disappointing. There's no realistic off-ramp to this war. Well, I mean, if they keep bombing them, maybe they'll just collapse. I don't know. But yeah, it's unfortunate that this is transpiring like this. I mean, it has to somehow end quickly, but I mean, if they end it quickly, they have to win, but because otherwise it'll just be for nothing. I don't know, man. This was at $107 when I started streaming or something. I think the Strait of Hormuz is it's contested. They're gonna have to take control of it or something. The U.S. is gonna have to control it to get these prices down. They have no naval fleet. They just have mines. The discombobulator. The QED. Trump is going to visit Massey's district to campaign against him. What a joke. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because Massey has been holding up his administration. Iran doesn't need to win, they just need to not surrender. Well, that's kind of how these Middle East wars are always. It's just, they try and drag them on. The longer they drag out, the worse it is for the U.S. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this live stream. We're getting a bull run. We're getting a bull run, all right, in crude oil. Oh, crude oil is back down on the 1-minute chart. Creatine. You like creatine? I don't take creatine. I mean, it does have some benefits. China's being moderate. Yeah, they were moderate last year, too. No, we got 2 hours. 2 hours. How to improve my run mile time? You got to get better stamina. You got to keep running. You got to practice or just keep practicing the mile. All right, guys. I will see you later.